Hey, if you like my videos, you might also like my comedy series YouTube Blue, which premieres every Saturday on the YouTube Blue YouTube channel. Go check out the link in the description and the card above to watch the latest episode. Now on with the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the future of HBO Max and the DC content that's coming to HBO Max. So this is largely a speculative video, just talking about various projects that the DC Extended Universe has been working on over the years that could end up making their way over to HBO Max. But first, let's talk about some stuff that has been officially announced in terms of, I think it was earlier this year, maybe it was technically late last year, you know, days bleed together, but Walter Hamada, the president of DC Films, a very controversial figure right now, but he basically said that their plan going forward in the future is to look at pretty much every DC movie they're putting out and figure out a series for HBO Max to spin off of it. So just like how Suicide Squad is spinning off with Peacemaker and The Batman is spinning off with Gotham PD, they want every theatrically released movie from here on out to have some kind of HBO Max TV series spin-off. Then he also talked about how their plan going forward for the future, with him saying that they're hoping for this to start in 2022, though personally, realistically, I think it won't fully happen until 2023. He said that they wanted to do 4 theatrically released movies every year, which is a lot, especially for DC, who their record so far is 2, so that's crazy. And also to have 2 HBO Max exclusive movies every year. So that's 6 movies every year, encompassing the both of those, which is crazy. I mean, like, in 2022, you know, Marvel is gonna be doing like 6 movies. They have like, I think they have 4 movies on the theatrically released schedule right now, and then also Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is scheduled to come out sometime in 2022, though it's not on the schedule yet. And also they have the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which is technically a movie that's coming on Disney Plus. But anyway, so let's talk about what this all means. So in 2022, we currently have technically 4 theatrically released DC movies, but one of those is DC Super Pets, which is made by Warner Animation Group, which is not associated with DC Films, so it's not a DC Films movie, so it doesn't really count. So far we have 3 movies, which is The Batman coming in March, The Flash coming in November, and Aquaman 2 coming in December. And then also, that's a huge gap there. Chances are Black Adam is somewhere in there. DC just doesn't know when yet. They're still planning on starting production of that sometime in the spring of this year. And so that's probably going to come out sometime in the summer of 2022, if I had to guess. But anyway, so that's happening. And the Walter Hamada in that interview gave 2 movies that they said were being considered for HBO Max release. Now, while a lot of people have kind of taken this to interpret as these 2 movies are definitely coming to HBO Max and they're coming in 2022, that's not been confirmed. But it should be mentioned that he gave as examples of movies that could be coming to HBO Max, Static Shock and Batgirl. Now, personally, I think Static Shock going to HBO Max is a big mistake, but I'm not here to talk about like what I think of these announcements. I'm just giving my thoughts on what they should do next. As for Batgirl, I think that's definitely not happening in 2022. 2023 probably, because here's why. So Batgirl, as far as we know so far, and not a lot of this has been confirmed, it's mostly been like scoops and speculation, I should mention that, is going to be kind of a spin-off / kind of half sequel to The Flash. Apparently their plan for the DCEU, and I think this is actually a pretty smart plan, is that they're like, okay, so Robert Pattinson's Batman is in this other universe, and it's like the active young Batman, so we can't have something like that in the DCEU. So instead, in The Flash, we're going to say goodbye to Ben Affleck's Batman, and then bring Michael Keaton's old Batman to be the new Batman in the DCEU. And then going forward, they're going to basically have the Michael Keaton Batman be the Batman of the DCEU, being that old man, inactive Batman. And then they're also going to basically, for the Batgirl movie, which is being written by Christina Hodson, who has been heavily rumored, like just like an inch away from being announced officially as being the writer of The Flash. And basically the rumor is that the Batgirl movie is going to almost be, instead of doing Batman Beyond with Terry McGinnis, they're going to instead kind of do almost Batgirl Beyond in a way, by having the Michael Keaton Batman training a new Batgirl, which I think makes sense. That way you have an inactive Batman and an active Batgirl in the DCEU, and then you have the active Batman in the Reeves verse. So that's their plan with Batgirl. And so because The Flash is coming out in November of 2022, and Aquaman 2 is coming out in December, that means that Batgirl is almost certainly not coming out until sometime in 2023. But let's talk for the rest of this video about potential things that could happen on HBO Max, both in terms of movies and series. So first let's talk about some series stuff. So first off, James Gunn, and this was something that was said a while ago on, I think it was Twitter, people were asking him questions about Peacemaker, and somebody asked him how it all came to be, and basically he said that Warner Brothers approached him asking him what characters he would like to make into HBO Max series, and he came up with a bunch of different ideas for series, and Warner Brothers said those are all great, but let's start with one, and James Gunn picked Peacemaker. So what that basically means is that there is definitely potential there for those other ideas to happen in the future, which could work great if the Suicide Squad is a big hit, and also if there are any movies in the future that they don't really have any ideas to do spin-offs of, then they could just kind of replace that with another Suicide Squad spin-off. So what are these other ideas? We don't really know, but it could be things like, King Shark, Bloodsport, Weasel, who knows, Ratcatcher 2 maybe would be could be a really cool idea. Apparently she's the only real Suicide Squad character that is fully formed at the beginning of the movie, so maybe we kind of see her origin and what leads up to that in a spin-off series. That could be cool. So that's apparently could be happening. So what about these other movies? Black Adam, so since that's gonna have the Justice Society of America, we could be getting a series based off of one of those characters, or heck, who knows, maybe even a Justice Society TV show, which could be really cool. Another idea that's been tossed around in the fandom as a potential idea is a Steve Trevor series, and a lot of people, including myself, kind of hope that the way they kind of go about it is maybe in The Flash kind of steals Steve Trevor out of time, saving his life. Then we have a Steve Trevor series, and then after that he meets up with Diana in Wonder Woman 3. That could be a cool way to go about it. Speaking of Wonder Woman though, another thing that could potentially come to HBO Max in terms of a movie is the Amazon's movie. Basically, it was announced a little while ago, and I think this is kind of unlikely to happen on HBO Max. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility, that Patty Jenkins basically announced that she would be producing, but not directing, a Wonder Woman spin-off movie called The Amazons that would come between Wonder Woman 1984 and Wonder Woman 3. And maybe Warner Brothers, after Wonder Woman 1984's rocky reception, might put that out on HBO Max. Who knows? But another big spin-off movie of a big Warner Brothers DC franchise that I think is actually pretty likely to go to HBO Max is The Trench. Basically, James Wan, before Aquaman 2 was announced to be coming out in December of 2022, he announced that he was developing a spin-off of Aquaman called The Trench. That would basically be a horror movie set in the trench in the Aquaman movie franchise. And originally he said that he wanted to do that movie between Aquaman and Aquaman 2. But here's the thing. I'm like, sure, Joker was really successful as an R-rated movie, but the reason Joker was really successful, well, of course, it did make over $1 billion, which is a huge achievement in and of itself. Another big part of it was the fact that it was on such a small budget. Meanwhile, The Trench would be a much bigger budget than Joker, quite possibly. While Joker is completely separate from the DCEU, The Trench would be tied to this otherwise family-friendly franchise, so I think it would actually be pretty likely for HBO Max to go to James Wan and be like, hey man, if you really want to make this Trench movie, we could make it for HBO Max, which would also make sense because there's not really many characters in the Aquaman mythos that would make for a good HBO Max TV series, if you ask me at least. A few other ideas to throw out there. They've been developing a Plastic Man movie for a little while, and like that could work on HBO Max if you ask me, just because, I mean, as much as I'm a huge Plastic Man fan, I don't think Plastic Man, I think it would, well, I don't think that Plastic Man definitely wouldn't work on the big screen. I think that it would be a bit of a risk to put it on a big screen, and I think HBO, or I think Warner Brothers really, would kind of be a little bit hesitant of greenlighting a Plastic Man movie for the big screen. So for me, if it makes it more likely that the movie would happen at all, or for sequels to happen, or something like that, Plastic Man going to HBO Max might be a good idea. Another thing they could do is Snyder Cut spin-offs. And not Snyder Cut spin-offs as in the same universe, but with characters that are popularized by the Snyder Cut. Like, for example, the kind of newly respun, I guess you could say, Jared Leto Joker. Because the Jared Leto has been championing for his Joker to get his own solo movie in the DCEU, right? Now, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie kind of seemed like that was canceled, but since Jared Leto will be appearing in the Snyder Cut, albeit kind of briefly, I'd say that it's fairly likely that if that's very successful, and maybe it would also help if they then did the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, and that ended up being successful. But anyway, if Jared Leto's Joker gets some newfound praise, maybe they could make that Jared Leto Joker movie and release it on HBO Max, because then it'd be less confusing. Like if they released two theatrically released movies called Joker, one in the DCEU and one not, it could be kind of confusing, but releasing one on HBO Max might help things along a little bit. Another idea would be Deathstroke. You know, Joe Manganiello has been wanting that Deathstroke movie for a little while, and the character's only major appearance, as far as we know, in the plans for the DCEU will be in the Snyder Cut. So if his character is really well received, maybe they will make a DCEU Deathstroke movie finally, but put it on HBO Max. Another idea I have is maybe they could do that Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie that has been in the works for a while. Basically, Greg Berlanti produced and Zack Stentz wrote a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle script for the DCEU a while ago, but Warner Brothers just hasn't really found a place for it on the schedule, and so the script has just kind of been sitting in the vault for a little while, and I think that maybe HBO Max would be a great place for that. Plus, who knows, maybe that could lead to, a lot of people have been spreading rumors that they're developing maybe a Blue Beetle TV series of some kind for HBO Max. Maybe they do that Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie as kind of a test, and then based on that, maybe they do a Blue Beetle spin-off series for HBO Max, and maybe even they do like a Booster Gold standalone movie for theaters or something like that. But, you know, the possibilities are endless, really. But what do you guys think of this? Do you like these ideas? Do you have ideas of your own that you want to put in the comments? Let me know all of your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for daily videos on the franchises you love, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.